All right, what's the starting one?
Well,
so this is a year in review.
This is, Coolbox year in review. You guys looking forward to Christmas?
I'm looking forward to crashing my car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cut to footage of Jess crashing the car.
What was the best moment of last year, Jess? Work-wise, I don't want to know about your personal life.
I don't have a personal life.
Yeah.
Last year, I got to meet my favourite K-pop band. So at the end of last year, we worked for MTV EMAs. And I got myself on the job just to meet Le Seraphim, pretty much, didn't I, really? 4 days in a row. Very last day, we did the red carpet, and there they were.
Literally the last thing we did.
It was the last thing we did. It was the best day. All I remember is just going.
Yeah, you did seem quite. You did seem quite starstruck.
Yeah,
I was trying to get you.
You also had to drag me onto the red carpet.
I think both of us were trying to get her to
do a selfie.
At least go and get a selfie or go and say hi or something.
Yeah.
You was just stood behind us for most of it.
No. So I was committed to not even go onto the red carpet because one, I wasn't even meant to be allowed to, and then secondly, you physically pulled me onto the red carpet, and then once I got there, I just hid behind your camera, going, "Oh, so pretty."
You go. I'll go. We'll go down the line and then across.
Well, I'll do mine. Mine kind of leads into yours anyway, Cal, because mine was actually, it wasn't even like a project we did. I mean, we did, but we didn't necessarily do it outright. So it was a project that you guys shot. It was a project called I'm Still Me, which is a project which was kind of sort of semi to do with University Leeds, semi to do with some sort of outreach thing they were doing, like an art program. And the crux of it was you took people that had sort of facial disfigurements that needed prosthetics, and then there was an art program which helped to sort of raise awareness and stuff. So you guys went and shot it, but we weren't actually like commissioned to edit it or whatever. So that was a bit of a bummer, because I know for you guys, you were like, we've got all this cool footage and I really want to use it. And we saw a version of it which just didn't, I guess, best utilize what we'd made. So we decided to do our version, basically. And it was really fun because you get to kind of like work on it in a creative way without as much like time restraint, I guess.
Well, the context of it as well, we actually suggested some edits from the commission piece.
Yeah.
And because they basically just ran out of budget, unfortunately, they weren't able to do the edits that we suggested.
Yeah.
So then when we had time, we could kind of apply those to our own kind of director's cut. Well, I mean, we fleshed it out even more than that because we actually went back into the footage.
Yeah.
Rather than making minor edits. I mean, we totally reformatted the whole film, really.
So originally, we kind of sat down and went, let's watch through it. And I think we drafted up some notes in my Obsidian doc. And we're like, okay, here's some thoughts or whatever. And then, it just kind of spiraled because we had all like these select sequences where we were like, we can just pull from this when we want to. But I guess there was just so much stuff that because we'd shot it, you guys were like, I know we've got some like really cool incidental pieces of footage. We've got some really cool incidental interviews. So it ended almost being like from the ground up sort of remake in a way, but then pulling what really worked and then using that as well.
Well, that's it. I think you just had the blessing of having like basically unlimited creative freedom with it.
Yeah, and time.
And like obviously the clients edit, like they were on a really tight deadline, tight budget. So I think they just needed to get stuff out, not meaning to crap on their edit, like, but it was clearly done under restrictions, whereas we effectively had no restrictions.
Yeah, and there was certain sections which worked perfectly. There was a section...
Yeah, we kept some of it.
Yeah, there was a guy called Robin, and he got like a section towards the end. And I remember going to re-edit it, and I went, I'm just going to kind of like do what they did, but I feel like I'm making it different for the sake of making it different. So I basically lifted that, made some very slight tweaks to the audio, and then that worked sort of perfectly as it was. So we didn't just want to do it for the sake of doing it. We just wanted to improve on it because we sort of saw what it could be if that editor had the time and the resources and whatever.
Despite me not actually working on it, really, I mean, obviously, apart from me bringing the project in, you guys then project managed it, and then you worked on the edit. So, I mean, I was tangentially attached to it, and I gave a little bit of feedback on the edits, but like, despite that, I think it's probably one of my favorite projects of the year. Like, I think it was definitely the most satisfying. I think because we had been quite dissatisfied with the output originally, and then being able to get it back in our hands And like, I'm really, really proud of it now, and it'll definitely go on our portfolio of like, you know, I think we're really good at, as a team, of doing like quite people-centered stories, like case studies and stuff like that. And like, I think we've moved away from doing promo, product-y type things to like really focusing on people, and that is like a perfect example of like what I want to do more of.
Yeah, so obviously like as I'm Still Me, there was another favourite moment for me is when we did Crefora Anna. I know that's not a real name, but that project that we worked on in
the case study
Grantham, but not because of the final film,
like the content,
although that is still good. Yeah, not necessarily for the content. It's a favourite moment of mine because it was the first, well, not the first time, but evidence of planning beforehand. So I put like a lighting plan together.
Yeah, sure.
Drew that picture on your iPad.
Yeah.
I think that's a favourite moment of mine because it was like proof in the pudding type thing.
Yeah.
You give us, if we do the planning beforehand and you give us enough time to set up, and I know we took probably the most kit we've ever taken for what is essentially a podcast setup.
But we used everything.
And I think also because we had like a good reference point beforehand, that video, do you remember that video I showed you? So we had a good video, a good reference beforehand that used to kind of influence that.
And I think it got me and Jess on the same page as what you were thinking.
So we were all kind of like working towards the same, what we wanted it to look like. And yeah, I just think like once we started rolling on it and we were all happy with how it looked, that was quite satisfying. It's like I said, like proof in the pudding. And I think taking it wasn't an ugly room, but you know, not a studio room. Like a room that needed a bit of TLC doing to it, and it's still looking like it ended up looking was really satisfying. So that's a big moment for me.
Cool. Next question.
Jess, what is your biggest fuck up?
So for my favourite project is actually my least favourite project because I did the worst fuck up where I left the plate on the teleprompter from the earlier days of doing the MTV, and we needed it in the last 3 days.
Yeah.
And as we were setting up, you were like, "Oh, there's a plate missing." I was like, "Oh, is there?"
It's weird because those two people sounded the same.
They might do sound the same.
So for context, the teleprompter sits between it goes tripod, your plate, the teleprompter base, camera.
Yeah.
So normally the plate would be on the bottom of the camera, but so normally it just stays on there because we always
question about this. Is it one of the iPad teleprompters?
Yeah.
So does it not sit on the front of like a hood of the camera and then
but there needs to be but there's a big base below it. To keep everything in place.
Okay.
And so that just got attached because we never take the plate off the bottom of the camera normally. The big camera, the FX9, this one, sits on the Sackler tripod, and it never like, you know, that setup is always the same, so it's very rare that it gets taken quickly. Yeah. So I don't know why I'm making big excuses for you, but it wasn't a major F up.
But this is what I said, I don't think it was as major as you thought.
I just had to drive across town.
My excuse was on that first day when we used it, been a really long day, and I took it down at like whatever time it was when we'd finished. It was really dark at night as well. Yeah, I did it at the side of the road, at the back of the van.
And you'd never used it before, to be fair.
I'd never used it before.
We needed to do all the interviews on sticks, didn't we? They asked for them to be on sticks.
Yeah.
So we couldn't mount the camera.
Set anything up until
and I think we did have another tripod, didn't we? The Manfrotto one, but it's a different plate.
Yeah.
Oh no, we definitely needed the plate. Yeah. And at the time you thought you'd ruined everything.
Yeah. It's because I thought I did really well because I was like on the ball the night before, putting everything away. And then turns out that nothing ever quite goes as it seems. So
okay, well I would say that's a minor one.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Right, Con, have you got one?
I ain't got one.
Oh come on!
No, genuinely.
Con's just too cool.
No,
you're just too good.
This isn't like I never make mistakes kind of thing. It's more of a if I've made mistakes, they're extremely boring to talk about. So it'll be like, I could have managed my time better.
And you just, if you made a mistake in an edit, you just wouldn't tell us about it.
Yeah. And even then I could go, oh, I did this, but then I just deleted it and start again. It's like, right, so I had no consequence then.
Yeah.
If I think of anything, I'll scroll it down the screen really quick now.
Yeah, this wasn't my fault either, really. I mean, it was, but we do a series of like short little docky kind of videos for this project called The Wharf. And it's about kind of renovation of an old wharf building that's like canal side near Marple that they're going to they're in the process of using Lottery Heritage Fund to convert it to like a heritage centre to teach people about the locks and the Industrial Revolution and stuff. It's really cool. It's a good project. One of the videos that they wanted us to do. Will you just open that?
Huh?
Are you trying to open it quietly?
Yeah.
I can
I was
see
being
you doing
very
it quietly.
sensible then. I was being very
That's fine.
kind.
One of the videos that they wanted us to film was some people were visiting the UK from Australia, and they were going around various different heritage sites around the UK.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And they came across this one, the really lovely Australian couple, and Bob, who's one of the people involved in the project, kind of gave them a tour of how the site was getting on and what the plans were for it. It was because there's not much of a structure or kind of plan to every one of these shoots. Effectively, I shoot it like a documentary. It's a single camera setup. I just stick microphones on each of them and just follow them around and kind of just have to be in the right place at the right time and just catch everything that they say, and we bring it together and cut it down in the edit. But so they'd done a full tour of the wharf, and I don't know how long they've been there, like 20, 35. It was a long take anyway. Again, a bit of boring detail about the camera that we're using, but it uses like a third-party battery that isn't like the Sony battery. It uses a V-lock that plugs into the normal battery slot. Anyway, it doesn't tell you on the camera when it's going to run out of battery. Mm-hmm. So it got to the end of the take, and then probably 1 minute from the end of the take, and the battery died. Unfortunately, on some of the Sony cameras, when the battery dies, it doesn't save the clip. So I changed the battery. I said, "Oh, sorry guys, it's the battery's died." Replace the battery, turn the camera on. Just thought, I'll just check, make sure that it's recorded the clip. It hadn't recorded the clip. Thankfully, because it wasn't like I was doing an event where you can't say, just hold that, just stop there while I fix this and blah blah blah. Like I was able to kind of navigate around that problem, and also I'm still maintaining it was not really my problem. Not my problem. It was definitely my problem. Guys, see you later. It was definitely my problem. It was not my fault.
Yeah, there's only so much shtick you can take for a tech issue.
Yeah. Exactly.
The camera doesn't. A lot of cameras do when they cut off, they just save whatever they got up to.
Yeah, I reckon it's because we use V-locks on
that
camera.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think if you use a Sony battery in it
and it dies, it saves the clip.
It'll save it. Yeah. It used to be the same when I used the Odyssey on the FS700. Like it just wouldn't save the clip.
Yeah.
But hey.
Your best favourite project and why?
Okay.
Who's starting? Do you want to start?
I can start.
Why
not? My best favorite project, my best / favorite project this year was Goo. Funnily enough, Goo, as in Goo puddings, Goo puds, delicious little. I'm not paid to advertise them.
They are good though, aren't they?
They are good.
I was very excited when we got that email through.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna get some Goos in, guys.
Yeah.
They've not actually sent us anything. I was kind of expecting like a complimentary like case or something.
I know.
Anyway, I remember Mark told me about the project like ages ago, and he was like, "We're gonna get this thing in from Goo, and we need to remake." Like this 3D element, sort of. They have a wrapper over the top that peels back, and then the rest of the ad plays from underneath. They wanted to show that section of the ad. They wanted that same peel effect, but obviously you can't just remove it from that advert, because I think they just weren't.
I think
they hadn't got those files or something.
No, I think the agency that they'd used had licensed the ad for like a year. Mm-hmm. So Goo had licensed it through the agency for a year, so they no longer had the rights to use it.
Yeah.
So they basically just asked us to recreate it.
Yeah, they were like, something like this, please. And at first I was like, okay, maybe we can just mask it or whatever. And then I essentially just spent like a couple of weeks just like figuring out when I had some free time. I was like, right, okay, I could try masking, like doing a mask in After Effects and trying to copy that, and that didn't work. And then I just ended up like doing multiple stages of figuring out in Blender, where I did like cloth simulations and like wind effects and stuff. And that was just a really good fun kind of like, not side project because it was a client project, but something that I could work on when I had a gap, you know. And
it was a nice like little problem solving exercise as well, right?
Yeah, they're my favorite types where I'm like, I don't know if I can 100% do this, but I'd like to figure it out, sort of thing. So it's just a fun opportunity. There was fairly low stakes because it was just that one shot.
Yeah.
It's not like we had a client come to us and go, make a full 3D animation
Well, yeah,
thing.
because really the rest of the project that we were actually commissioned to do was pretty straightforward. It's just an assembly edit of like what stuff that they'd already shot and sent us over. I think there's maybe a bit of stock footage or something.
Lots of stock footage, lots of photos, lots of like iPhone.
And then they actually mentioned this foil opening as like a bit of an aside, didn't they?
Like, if you can do this.
And if you can do this.
And I'm like, that's the most interesting part. Yeah, I'll do that.
I was going to say you proper like nerded out for a bit, didn't
Big
you?
time, yeah. I was
Because
like,
we don't get a whole lot of opportunity to do 3D stuff. So
no, there's not as much. There was a huge call for it ages ago. I don't know if it's relevant if you're not a person that does editing, but back in the day, you'd like apply for like an editing job and it'd be like, you must be able to use Cinema 4D as well. And I'm like, whoa, that's like a whole different skill, guys. But I think there's less call for it now because people are kind of like, on 3D, it's not as much of a big thing as it used to be. At least with the work that we do. So when it comes in, I'm like, I want to jump on that and do something cool with it.
Cool.
So that's Goo.
Nice.
Goo for me.
Jess.
Mine's.
Are you all awake?
Yeah, but do you know what I was thinking then as you were speaking? I was definitely listening, but then I was also thinking.
She wasn't.
Most people that listen don't have to say,
No,
I was definitely listening.
I realised that majority of mine had to do with gotta listen.
Sorry,
Majority
I
of
was
mine
thinking
had to
about
do with MTV.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. But I feel bad now because I feel like I'm just singling that out, and the rest
fine.
of my year was
You
just
enjoyed
shit.
it.
I don't think the other projects care.
Well, what if they do and they watch this and they go, I don't want her on the shoot anymore.
Go on, tell us why it was your favourite project. What was good about it, apart from meeting Seraphim?
Because we hadn't ever done anything music related, well, since I joined either.
Yeah.
It was unique in terms of, with 4 days, even though they were like really long days, every single day was so different.
Yeah.
And
I guess the scale of it as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it goes without saying that the event was absolutely massive. And obviously we were one small part of it.
I'd never been there before either.
Yeah.
So it was good to see it for the first time, like going backstage. It wasn't even from like a regular viewer's point of view either.
Yeah.
But then also just the idea of that you met so many different people, like even from the actual MTV crew, or if they would like the don't laugh.
I know it's the crew.
Or if they were like the talent.
Yeah.
And then you got to see how many people are actually building the set. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even if we were standing around so often and that was a little bit annoying, you were never quite bored because there was just so much going on. You had all the different talent like rehearsing on stage. You could see what the performance was going to be like before it was even shown or anything. I think it was just 4 really exciting days.
And then you personally, away from Coolbox, have never done anything
never
like that
done
before,
anything like
have you?
that, no. Not
So
at
that's
all.
exciting.
And the food was really good as well that we got fed throughout the last 3 days.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So
Catering,
good.
yeah.
We had some really good crew food this year. The catering for the EMAs, they had sirloin steak. The cafeteria at Iceland HQ, I'd get so fat if I worked there. They cooked you fresh like hake. Me and Jess had Caesar salad. It's like the best Caesar salad I've ever had.
I'm going to go back to G4S because of the size of the production, the amount of planning beforehand we had to do, the amount of crew that we had on set, and all that kind of stuff, but also having the opportunity to direct the whole thing and it going well. it's why it's my favourite one.
There was a lot of pre-production, but actually like the shoot itself kind of went without a hitch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like logistically there was a lot that could go wrong that didn't, and there was a lot that, you know, you got in your head and all that planning that you've done beforehand for months, and then it goes right, and
there was just a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts and it's all going right. Yeah, that was really good because I felt, well, personally I felt really good about that one because of all those reasons.
I think our roles normally could become quite nebulous, don't they? They were always pitching in on different things. But actually, for G4S, we kind of stuck to roles pretty well. I was the only one who was kind of doing a bit of everything. Everybody else was like, you were directing, James was DOP, and you were kind of producing, really, weren't you, Jess?
I had my models.
Well,
you did. You produced the thing. That's what I mean. And I think like almost like taking it up a level from like what we potentially normally do, which obviously is smaller scale, so like it lends itself to that. And it kind of going without a hitch, and we getting like the footage that we ended up getting, which looks great, looks incredible. yeah, I was just really happy with all of that, gaining that experience as well. Nice.
Wonderful.
Last one.
Last one's another negative one, isn't it? It's like, what pissed you off this year?
What did your head in?
My head in.
What did your head in this year?
Let's start with Cut.
I started the last one though, didn't I? I can start this one.
You need to start this time.
I've only just spoken though.
That's true. Yeah, we've been doing like a...
Shall I just start?
No, I'm going to go. So, what did my head in? Well, luckily, not much. It was kind of at the start of the year. There's been a couple of things that sort of grind my gears, so to speak. And one of them was at the very top of the year. I'm going to say the name, maybe bloop it out later. But it was a project we did. I think we talked about it, actually. We did a podcast about Zumba earlier this year. And I think I mentioned the fact that we had to adjust on the fly. Which typically happens when you're on site, but especially when you're an on-site editor, when people have access to you, you're kind of like a hot commodity, especially when like things need to go out and everyone wants a different piece of content. So we had like 3 or 4 different parties that were wanting different and new things and tweaks and stuff. And me and Jess went out of our way, like I think a week before, to get on a call and go, right, what do we want? And we noted it all down. And we're like, this needs delivered for this time, this for this time. It's kind of like, you're like, right, I'm going to walk in. It's going to be the smoothest thing we've ever done ever. And then you go in and you don't make half of what's on that list. And you actually make more. You make like 20 different edits. Then after the fact, they want even more edits. And it just, for that one, it was frustrating because we made the decision to go and get it all noted down. We're like, okay, this is how it is.
And it was quite time sensitive as well, wasn't it? Because we needed things by certain times throughout the day and the following day. And really, there was only you editing, so we had to kind of plan it almost to the minute to make it work.
And you guys would be away doing other things. We tried to anticipate it. I remember saying beforehand, I was like, let's make sure I get a room like away from people. But then my room was between everyone, so everyone would just come in and go, I want my things like in like half an hour, please. Yeah, nice one. I'd be like, I guess so. So I'd work on that. I guess reflecting after the fact, I think if we knew going in, we're going to have to be malleable, we're going to have to adapt, I'd feel a lot better about it.
Yeah.
But because we had that chat, we said, this is what it is. And then to have that switch up, I think was quite frustrating.
Yeah.
But that was at the top of the year. So since then, everything's been fairly smooth sailing. Anyway, that's editing.
Just.
I was down in Birmingham and I got a studio, or hired a studio, and we were doing multiple videos during that day. But the owners of the studio had a fire alarm and they wouldn't turn it off.
Oh, it was like a...
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't going off constantly, was it?
No, it
was
wasn't,
like a beep.
but it was just a beep every now and then. So what did my head in was I couldn't do anything about it, and then I felt really bad for Connor because he then had to go in and get rid of the little beep that happened every now and then throughout these really long interviews.
I think this has happened to me before with renting some studios who claim their usages for video and film, and they're not. The photography studios, so they don't need to worry about sound. Like it's happened to us loads of times.
I asked her so many questions about what the sound's like as well, and she was just so like short with me.
Yeah. Oh well, it ended up really well. It ended up looking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got a few, but the main one, it's a small thing really, and I can't believe that I've hung on to it this long.
That's what she said.
So we were doing a 2-day shoot in York. We were rolling on a shot, and a experienced member of the crew walked through the frame of the shot. He did it once, then stood in the back of the frame for a bit, walked back again as we're rolling. And
did you tell him though?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, like...
What, and he kept doing it after you told him?
It's annoying anyway. I would say as an experienced crew person, member, even more annoying because you should know that don't do that, be out of the way. And obviously at the time they didn't have anything to do, so they were just kind of hanging about. Loitering. But loiter behind the camera, not in front of it.
It's been a really weird year, and it's just been a year of like, in terms of commissioning work. I heard somebody on social media say it's been a year of like long maybes in terms of like getting quite a few like new client inquiries, but just being lots of strung out. Like, oh yeah, maybe we'll be doing this soon. Like, you know, if it's a no, it's fine. It's cool.
You'll have a call with someone. They'll be like, I can't wait to maybe do this with you guys at some point in the future, maybe this year. And it's like, oh, well, it's hard to plan for that or get excited about it.
That's just, I think you get a spidey sense for it after a while and you're just like, oh, it's enough.
I think it's because you get burned by it, right? Because you go, that's really exciting. And then you'll draw up some plans and do some mood boards. And then you'll hear nothing.
But this year has been the worst for it.
Yeah.
By far.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Yeah, I've got no idea. There's lots of, without going too deep, there's been quite a lot of uncertainty, like globally at the moment, that I think people are just a bit reluctant to commit to spending decent amounts of money on marketing. And
I agree, but what is annoying when they come to us first?
Yeah.
So like you obviously had an idea or have an idea and you want to do it, and now you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I think it's just being open with people. Like if a client came to us and just said, like one of our clients, the University of Leeds, sometimes we just get like perspective, like, you know, like a researcher will need a quote to put into their funding application. So they're not commissioners for work necessarily. They just need a figure. Say, how much will this be? And actually, if a you know, a regular client, like a non-university client, came to us and just said, look, I'm just trying to do some forecasting, I need to know roughly how much this will cost, and we can come back to them with a quote, that's fine, because then we'll just put it on our long list of like, okay, we don't need to keep contacting them and checking if they're ready to go or whatever.
That's also good because they're upfront about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's what I mean. It's just being transparent about it. It's like, I don't have a problem with that at all. It's annoying when, you know, oh, we're ready to commission somebody, like we just want a quote for this and blah, blah, blah. And then we're chasing them every other week and they've got no intention of spending that money with us, you know, for in the near future. It's just, it's just need a bit of transparency. That's all.
Definitely.
I think overall, like last year was good. It was like, we had a lot of good projects, worked with a lot of good people as well, which I think goes a long way. A lot of our clients have been like, I haven't, but I would go and hang out with them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like spending,
I know what you mean.
You're just spending a lot of time with them on shoots and on calls and stuff. And it's been, and we've worked on some cool stuff that like we've talked about on this podcast that like we're proud of.
But this year, how's it going to be different, do you reckon? What we're going to do more of, what we're going to do less of?
I think we've talked about it before. I'd like to kind of carry on pushing the production values up and like working on bigger projects in terms of outreach and number of
scope.
Scope. That would be really cool. And
I think for me, it's like twofold. It's more challenging work, and I don't mean the sense of, oh, this is bloody hard. I mean in the sense of finding something where I can feel myself learning and adapting to it.
Like the Goo situation.
Like the Goo situation. Call back to Goo. Just something where I can go, I'm not 100% certain how to do this, but I'd love to find out. Because that's the kind of stuff that gets me like really motivated with editing. That, and I think a greater scope when it comes to the work that we enjoyed most last year, which seems to be a mix of character-based story stuff, like almost mini documentaries that we've been producing, as well as the greater higher scope event stuff like your MTV and I guess to a lesser extent your G4S, which wasn't really an event but it had a bigger scope, like we need a stadium and we need actors. And so for me 2025 it'd be great to have more challenges and broader scope as well, because I think that's what keeps me interested in editing. Is like, right, okay, how am I going to overcome this? Like the
mine's definitely the same. Enjoy. I think focusing more on the like branded content, inverted commas, I don't really like that phrase, but like there's people focused stuff that is like mini doc stuff, and also like projects that we can work on for a longer period of time and that we can kind of get our teeth into, and that we're not just speeding to get it out. Like we can spend time on it and all sit down and watch edits together and give feedback on it. Like it's that sort of content. It's like I'm Still Me, really. And G4S to an extent. You know, it's just being able to have time to like ruminate on things and get our teeth into it and have like multiple rounds of edit where you can you can edit something and then step away from it for a week and come back to it.
I think you mentioned at the very start of this talk, there's an element of having that freedom of time lets you step away. We've all worked on an edit where you get to the end of the day and you go, oh, that's kind of shit actually, and then you leave and you come back and you go, actually this part's really good, and then I need to fix this. But that's like such a luxury when you're working on so many different projects, having the luxury to go away and come back.
Yeah.
But it's such like an important part of the creative process, and I don't think just in editing. So I imagine you get it in production as well.
Oh yeah, it's the same with pre-production. I was going to say my other part was like spending more time on our pre-production, and like obviously we know the longer that we spend on pre-production, the better it's going to be. But it's like we can preach that as much as we want, but like if our clients don't understand that, then it's kind of pointless. So I think it's like sometimes it's like educating our clients on the importance of like spending time on things instead of just like rushing. Don't get me wrong, like there's deadlines that need to be adhered to, but like I think if and when we can take advantage of like a slightly longer pre-production time, like spend time properly storyboarding stuff and scripting stuff properly, and also like using tools that we've kind of all discovered in the last year of like AI stuff, like using Midjourney and stuff like that have been really helpful of being able to like to illustrate what's in my head to clients or to you guys. Like it's been so helpful, like taking advantage of those new tools. So I think that's my kind of, we're going to call it like a prediction for the next year.
Yeah, because like we said with this year, how there was a lot of maybes and we did a lot of projects, we also had time to work on Coolbox stuff.
Yeah.
So that means that we started working on kind of our
podcasts,
content. Our little social videos,
and I guess show that we are experts in these various areas. Like, you know, that's what we're talking about in all these social videos, right?
Yeah, it also brings out personality as well, doesn't it?
That's true. If you're seeing this in January, that means that the production schedule's gotten a bit better. If this is out in January.
This is
out next year in January.
Yeah, January
that
2026.
means it's gone to shit.
Yeah. Good.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, guys. All right.
Well, good luck, Con, in cutting down an hour and a half.
I have to do a lot of bleeping in that one. I think even if we reference I'm going to bleep that as well. Even if we reference I have to bleep that.
All right, bleep this one out.
No, you can't say that. I'm going to have to fucking pixelate your mouth.